We are shows what you know. We'll always watch TV. And if you think we can't, we'll watch more and you'll see. That's why the people of the web believe in Jim from Las Vegas and Jacob from Sweden.
Extra, extra! Bold, colorful new eye patch from local Handmaid. But can it beat the Winter Veil collection from DC? Found out here on the Gilead Gazette, your source for all things Handmaid's Tale, as we go through these episodes of The Handmaid's Tale Season 3. My name is Jacob Burrows.
And my name is Jim Scampoli, and it feels like I've been away from Gilead for so long, and I guess it's good to be back in Gilead.
Is it though, Jim? Is it? We're talking about episodes 7 to 10, am I right? Working 7 to 10. What a way to watch Gilead Gazette. That's right, everybody. I watched all these in a row, and it was a rough slog. Let's talk about it in generalities, I suppose, before we get into details. I will admit, okay, this is bad to say as someone who runs a Handmaid's Tale podcast, but I kind of forgot that The Handmaid's Tale Season 3 hadn't finished. I thought it finished there with the big cross there and the big prayer, and then I was like, oh shit, there's 4 episodes to watch. So that tells you something about how excited I am. How excited were you going into these episodes, Jim?
Yeah, well, I think we both made the bad decision of watching all of these in a row because I also binged them in a row. And Handmaid, I mean, there's a lot of shows obviously these days. We're in what they call peak TV. We got all these great shows, and there's a lot of bingeable shows. I know everyone binged Stranger Things. Remember when Stranger Things happened 3 weeks ago, and it's old news? I don't. Yeah. This isn't a bad thing about Handmaid's Tale, but it's not a bingeable show, really, in my opinion. It's not a good show to binge because it becomes a lot. I want to back up for a quick second here just to shout out that we did get a review from Princey577 on our Apple Podcast page. 5 stars. Title, refreshing. This is the first Handmaid's podcast where I actually laughed out loud. You guys are not only funny, but very insightful. Great listen.
Must
please.
Be that 7 to 10 bit I did, and similar jokes of that caliber. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, please, if you do enjoy the show, please submit us a review on Apple Podcasts. That does help us quite a bit. Now, back to what we were talking about. Absolutely. Well, and also, I feel like Season 3 hasn't been as strong as Season 2. Coming out of Season 2 or going into this season, it felt like a lot of like the shorthand in like critic reviews or like write-ups where that Season 2 was bad. But I don't really think it was bad. I remember we enjoyed it and we went through it. Season 3 is not bad per se, but it's definitely all over the place because, remember Baby Nicole? That was a thing. And now it's kind of like, especially in these episodes, it's taken a back seat in these 4 that we watched and we're about to discuss. But I guess it's still something happening in the background. And then, Serena and Fred are like, when they're not on the show, there's no progress happening, which I guess is a good thing because it would be, I guess, lazier if then we checked in with them and it's been like a month or 2 and things are completely different and we as the audience missed it. But it just feels pretty scattershot because, again, remember, and it all comes back to the end of Season 2. Yep. Because remember when June could have left, but then she didn't, and now all this stuff is happening? Yeah, that made sense and was worth it.
I was going to say that I think the critics, we're clearly qualified critics as well. Who doesn't love a critic? Everyone's a critic. But Season 2 did get a bad rap, and there were some things that weren't great in it, and the ending sort of sticks out. But I think we always said that, it's great if it sets up change and movement. Like, it would have been made... Let's not get into it again. We would have wanted her to leave Gilead, of course, because we want her to win and be a hero. But if you're going to make her stay, you can't just have her back doing the same thing, which she has been doing to a large extent. I would say, as far as these episodes and my overall feeling on Season 3 is, there's nothing going on that's like wrong, that's like doesn't work technically. Like, looking at the plot, I'm like, I see why they made this choice. I see why they made that choice. It's all well put together, but I'm not excited to watch the next episode. Like, that's the thing they're failing at. Like, it all makes sense. Like, I get it, but I feel like there, for me personally, should have been some more sort of underlying change in how they decided to make this season to make me more excited about it, because it all makes sense, but like it's just not as exciting as season 1, of course.
Yeah, no, that's completely true, because the cast is great, the production design is great, the cinematography is great, the lighting, the style, the vibe, it's all there. But it definitely does feel like the show's spinning its wheels, and maybe this would have been better with less episodes, because I think what season 1 I think is like 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Season 2 was 13, and then this one is 13. Because, there's still stuff going on. I mean, where did we kind of leave off going into these episodes? There was the stuff going on with Nicole. There was kind of these revelations about I'm spacing on his name.
Nick.
Yeah, Nick. And, we haven't really seen anything with that stuff. We're kind of taking a little off ramp here. And it feels like the trajectory of these episodes kind of specifically is to get June to have this epiphany that she should save kids. And it's like, yeah, of course you should save kids. Are you serious? And I mean, the bottle episode, we'll get into that. But like, the big payoff of the bottle episode is that she leaves and she's like, I should save kids.
Yeah, exactly. A bottle episode, if you didn't watch Community, is a sort of poorly put together or cheaply put together episode, sort of in the middle of a season where you probably all know this. You're listening to a TV podcast. Who am I talking to here? You guys know. But a bottle episode is when you go like, okay, we have the set. We don't have any money to like go and do shit. So we're just going to write an episode that takes place in one location because that's cheaper and quicker. And we need that. That's a bottle episode. And
I would say,
Yep.
well, I didn't mean to cut you off. You're going good. But I would also say that's a very cynical outlook, which is probably the truth, but it's a very cynical look at because it could almost be more of a creative, like, hey, what can we do with a one location? And like, let's really play with these characters. Let's just throw that in there, that potentially it could be like a great creative thing, but continue.
Okay, yeah. So why is it called a bottle episode? It says that it's because it's something made with very little time and with very little cost, as if pulling an episode right out of a bottle like a genie, because genies live in bottles, not lamps in this version, I guess. Anyway, what was I was on one, Jim. Yes.
I'm sorry, that's my fault.
It's all right. Even before the bottle episode, I swear to God, the term bottle episode was in my brain, and not because I'd heard that there was a bottle episode coming out. I literally thought that season 3 feels like a bottle episode, and the setting we're stuck in is Gilead. Like, I know we're actually seeing new places, and there's a lot of money being pumped into this show, but we're still just stuck in this one location. And as we've said previously, the stuff in Canada and everything, a lot of interesting stuff going on there, but then it's the same shit going on in Gilead fucking forever, and that's what we're gonna get into. What we're gonna get into here today, I think, right?
Yes, yeah. So I mean, we're not gonna go beat by beat on every episode, but just kind of some different call outs, I guess, because episode 7 was all about the kind of the hangman's noose, and we see. It's just funny that like we haven't seen all of the torture of Gilead like in all these episodes, like because we have this new thing now, which I guess is, unless I'm forgetting that this was an episode before, where the handmaids have to pull the rope, and that brings up the floor for the people to be put in the noose, and then they pull it out from under them and kind of have their own part of the you being the executioner. But it's just weird, because are we supposed to think that this has always been a thing going on in Gilead, or is this a new idea they came up with, and it just so happens to coincide with this episode? Like, what do you think?
I mean, the handmaids were always used to like punish people, or it was specifically they were stoning people for, that was sort of a way to, I don't know, make them part of it in a weird way. And I guess I could see how in their weird religion they could go like handmaids bring life and they also bring death, how that could be a thing. But yeah, no, it's definitely not in the show previous to this. We've
Because
seen
people
people hung on
usually,
walls.
yeah, hung on
Yeah.
walls or even hung on trees outside of their house. But now I'm picturing that all those times they were hung on the wall, they actually did this first. Then someone had to come and get the body. They had to bring them over to the wall, put them up on the wall, or drive them back to their house, put them in a tree, because Gilead knows how to Gilead.
I
Uh,
feel like it's supposed to signal maybe that they're ramping up. I mean, obviously they've always been about murder and such, but
yeah,
like they're weeding out the baddies, right?
yeah, for sure. And again, like this has a little of Emily and Moira, and I know I've said this many times. Emily has like the most important, more interesting and important stuff going on this season. It almost feels like I would rather have had this been about that, and then we check in every now and then with Gilead. But of course, this is The Handmaid's Tale, so we do need to be with the handmaid,
Yes.
because it's
Yeah,
like,
I agree. That's the interesting stuff going on in the episode. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah, because this is where we kind of check in and they have to like they're asking her about some of the crimes she committed, because even though they're understanding, I guess it is still like a, I don't know, they have to register the crimes and how Emily ran over those guards, which was such a great victorious moment on this show. And I guess then she tells Moira how she poisoned that. Are they wives? I forget. What's Serena? Is Serena? Are they just wives?
Yeah,
Because there's
she's a wife.
handmaids, wives, and
Yeah,
Martha's.
they're
What
wives.
were the ones in blue? Were those
Yeah,
just wives as well?
yeah, they're wives. They're the
Oh,
wives.
whatever. Yeah, I forget because I just know there's like green, blue, whatever. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say as well when they're sort of talking about her crimes, I believe it's like the lady from Switzerland asking about it.
okay.
So they're like going over that because obviously she's the person who brought Nicole to Canada. So now the lady from Switzerland has to talk to her. I think.
No, I think you're
I
right.
think
Yeah.
that's what's going on.
No, yeah, yeah. I think you're right because yeah, it's all probably still part of the investigation, and they're supposed to be the neutral party and deciding what'll happen to this baby. We get to see them protest the prime minister. It is nice to see. We've always pointed out how Canada is a utopia on this show, so it is kind of nice to see that even this great place on the show, everything everywhere is caught up in political bullshit. Much
Yep.
like see today, where even a place that's looked at as a greater good, it still has people in power that may not always do the best for the individual. And yeah, they protest, they get thrown in jail, they bond, they don't have any gay in common. This is all the stuff I remember because this is all good stuff.
Yes.
Gilead is all hanging people and fucking whatever.
Yeah, and
But
I'll say this as well. So this storyline is great, and it seems to be building something. And then we have 3 episodes of nothing related to this. What I thought was happening there, like it's okay if it's all like character moments, with like yeah Emily developing and stuff like that. But it also feels like it was building to a point where all the protests didn't really matter, but then she was there shouting in the minister's face about how she brought Nicole over and she knows and she's seen it. And then I'm like, well, why? Like, she could be like, next episode, she could make like a viral YouTube video about the torture and rape and everything that happens in Gilead. And of course, they don't want to send the baby back, and the mother didn't want that. And she's being tortured and raped as we speak. Like, that could all have been in the show, right?
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I almost thought would her being involved be in a weird way a negative of her being involved in the protests like that? But yeah, you could
Yeah.
have done a few things with that. I'm sure maybe they will, but it is just weird because it happens here and then nothing happens in the other episodes. Because I guess you could argue that that's the wheels of justice are very slow, and bureaucracy and red tape, and I guess there is a thing where Fred is kind of purposely like Gilead wants this to kind of be a slow process because what they're kind of digging this being on the world stage or something. I don't know. There's like political things going on with his boss that just kind of says that they want this to be like a longer process on the extradition, I guess.
Yeah, because I think it probably wouldn't give necessarily Gilead more power externally, but it gives them more power within Gilead, that they're sort of all working towards a common goal or something.
Yeah.
The other storyline in this episode is that June goes and tries to get her baby, Holly, so I should say. Um, is it Holly? Yes, it's Holly, right? Yes.
Hannah.
Holly? Yeah,
Hannah.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Goes to get Hannah. Sorry,
Right.
Hannah. And
Maybe
and
Holly, I
it,
think, is
like
the
I think
actual name of Nicole, right?
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem. That's the
Yeah.
problem. That's the
Got
problem.
it.
So it's Hannah, and the problem with this is the same problem that was at the start of the season, which was that it never felt to me as a viewer that this was going to work because it wasn't a real plan. It was just like literally, let's go to where she is and it will work out. And granted, she was talking to the Martha about, trying to make some sort of plan. So there was something going on there, but it felt a lot like the start of the season when she literally just goes there and tries to pick her up and, I don't know, drive out of the country, which I think is also our new plan, but with a big van. So that's going to work out great, I think.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It never really feels like a proper plan, this, which is why the tension isn't really there, because we're like, it's episode 7. I know this isn't going to work. It clearly isn't going to work. And in the end, it's like, yeah, it's because of this other handmaid ratting her out. And then I thought, like, oh, she gets to go, like, what did you do? What did you do? And that's kind of a cool moment. Do you know what you did? But then that's like, no, we're going to sit with this for 3 episodes. This is going to be a huge part of the plot, not your babies or anything like that. We're going to leave that for a bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't even think at the time that she was going to go and try to get Hannah, because I was like, there's no plan. I honestly just assumed that she was just going to go to see her or something. But you're right. I guess it kind of was supposed to be, but it's like, shit, there's a wall. Fuck. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what happened. Was she gets there, like, and she gets to hear the children. And honestly, this is what she could. Why didn't she have the epiphany here? I could save children, because she's hearing all the kids right on the wall. No, we have to have 2 more episodes where she can come to the idea that she should save kids. But yeah, I did like the ending. I did like, when she's kind of yelling at her, and that leads into Handmaid's Tale / Mean Girls.
Mean Girls. Yeah.
Like, that's completely what I thought. I was like, okay, this is Mean Girls now. Because, well, we didn't mention, but in the previous episode, we'd get back to the hangman's noose, and the Martha that helped June is now up on the chopping block, and she gets hung. And so Francis is dead. Hannah is gone. And people are spitting in of Matthew's drinks and kind of giving her the old shoulder budge when she walks by. And
tipping over the ice or whatever, going, oops, what did you do?
Yeah, what did you do? Which it's kind of fun, but then it's kind of like, all right, and then we get to see some of these shame circles. Like, because the interesting thing here is, and I guess it's kind of, we get into a little bit with Lydia, because we find out that Lydia knows that June was involved, but then why is June not dead? Like, I know this is kind of a constant question on the show, is why is June not dead when everyone's dead, when they do things like that are a fraction of what she does?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. They're like, why this happened. It's because of you. And they keep sort of pushing this idea that handmaids are the most valuable thing, but I don't believe in that world anymore. You've shown us too many babies. They're all over the place, these babies. So I don't believe that the fertility aspect would protect her that much. Then again, maybe you could make an argument. Oh, and I think June even does. Like, what if they need me for another TV interview? Like, she's the mother of the famous Nicole baby. So,
yeah, I guess
so that's a thing. But I mean, she's done a million things before then that should have gotten her killed. So it's still correct what you're saying. And this is the Lydia episode, because I did sort of for a moment, I wasn't sure what happened between the shame circle and the other handmaid freaking out at the end. But it's basically, we're going into Lydia's mind there and seeing some flashbacks with her, which in a way is interesting. But I don't know. What did you make of it?
I really like the Lydia flashbacks. It's a simple story where you could kind of see where they were going with it in a way. But I still liked it a lot, although I would have to admit it's very problematic, because the underlying message, and forgive me for being crass, but the underlying message is that Lydia just needed dick, and like, if she got dick, everything would have been fine. And
Yeah.
hey, don't blame me. I'm just the messenger. This is the show that told me this. I didn't make it up.
No, it is. I suppose what we're supposed to take from it is no, it doesn't make any sense because she's supposed to be like someone who hates putting on makeup and stuff like that, but she seems like an okay person. And then it's like, no, I wanted the dick, but like she has a good time out there as well in the club, and like it's fine
Yeah.
and it's weird, but it's fine, and she has a good time, and he wants to see her again, but like I suppose what we're supposed to see is her like she never should have let herself get lowered to this point, and that's why she lashes out. But
Yeah.
that's not really communicated, right? It feels more like no, she wanted the dick and she didn't get the dick, so now she tortures people.
Yeah, it was kind of like she gave in to her sin, I guess, if you will, because she was still I liked the teases because there's this whole thing where she kind of bonds with this single mom, but since we know that Lydia is like a proper religious person, because as we've seen her how she exists in the Handmaid's Tale world, so when there's little things like when she curses in front of the kid or mentions she's with a married man, she like the actress is great. Like she gives these reactions, but she kind of tolerates it. But then I
Yeah.
guess, and then she gets kind of swooned in a weird way because I thought they were teasing that she was like a lesbian or something for a moment when she's getting the makeover. And I'm like, oh, they better not go down this route because that'd be a
Yeah.
little too hacky. Because she's getting the makeover, and it's almost like she gave in to be like this single mom that she, in a way, she doesn't agree with a lot. And then she becomes the one that like she goes on the date with the principal and they're both having a good time and he's even into kissing, but she's the one that makes the real sinner move where she kind of reaches, in his pants type deal, like really going
Yeah.
for it. And he turns her down, but he turns her down in a very reasonable, like it's not anything. It's just that it's just a new thing and we need to take it slow type deal. But
Yeah, and
I
my
guess,
wife's dead and all, so that's cool.
yeah, I guess it's just the fact that she had to come face to face with her sin,
Yeah.
and that's what pushes her over the top. And I suppose it ties into June has that line in her voiceover where she's like talking about of Matthew, and she's like, "I heard her and I liked it." And maybe that's similar to what Lydia does when she kind of reports the single mom to like the child services and kind of gets her kids taken away. Uh, it's weird because it's almost too simple, but I still kind of liked it.
Yeah.
But it is, she just needs a dick, and it's kind of that's very problematic.
It is problematic. Yeah, I also, despite feeling like there wasn't a lot of movement, it's fine to go into her backstory. It didn't do. If we're supposed to now have sympathy for her, that didn't really happen, but it is like a weird snapshot of before and after of who she is. And I mean, Aunt Lydia is one of the most interesting characters on the show, to be honest. So
Yeah,
I don't mind digging a bit into her past. And yeah, they could have, like you said, well, yeah, when she's getting the makeup put on her, it's almost like it's so sensually shot that you think like, oh, she's a big gay, that's why. But no,
yeah,
that's not why. It's just a sort of it's supposed to be a descent for her into this other world, a transformation, but then which she then rejects. But I felt like it wasn't completely there. Like it was a bit like she goes and fucking smashes a mirror afterwards. Like it's
yeah,
real melodramatic stuff
yeah.
after they almost get it on. So yeah,
And I guess
I'm not totally sold with it.
yeah, because it's not like they don't do. It's not like super unpredictable, but also I guess they do a good job of teasing different predictable things. And I had to look up real quick. Ann Dowd plays Aunt Lydia, and she's great. Like she's
Yeah.
fucking great. Because I kept waiting for different shoes to drop, basically. Like when she first shows up at the club, I'm like, oh my God, is like someone going to make fun of her or something? Like, where are we going with this? Because I expected maybe that to be the thing. Like she puts herself out there, goes to a club, and then like a guy buys her a drink as a joke, like some like fucking like teen soapy romance thing or something.
Yeah.
And
Mean
that was
Girls.
after wondering, yeah, Mean Girls tying in. And that was actually that was after wondering if they're going to do the hacky thing that she's kind of like gay or something. But then you see she's with the principal, and then it's like, oh, is something going to happen here? But I guess the reason why it did still work for me is because I think because Ann Dowd's so good.
Yeah.
And but even though I know where Aunt Lydia ends up, I was still rooting for her. I was still like kind of hoping that things would be different. And of course they're not. So I did enjoy that. And I guess the other stuff is, the Mean Girl stuff. The shame circle is fairly interesting. I totally expected that, even though June did like an awful thing, like conspire with a Martha to maybe kidnap her child, that when it came out that of Matthew didn't want her child, that somehow now Aunt Lydia was going to punish her like way worse than she ever would June for whatever reason. But I did like seeing that she's had a history of working in like child welfare, and now she does a similar thing in Gilead in their own twisted Gilead way, and seeing kind of the behind the scenes stuff with Aunt Lydia and her, I guess, other aunts or cohorts, whatever it might be, when they're going through like the paperwork and they have to match this person up with this person. That stuff I kind of enjoyed.
Yeah, someone's got to do that job, matching up being the Tinder of handmaids, whatever the name of that app would be. Tell us in a review on iTunes. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's fine. And it's always interesting to see her in any shape or form, really. So what do you think about the other big thing in the episode, which is that basically the shame pointing was enough for this other handmaid to flip out? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, my notes on this last scene are, what is this show? Because I didn't have that much of a problem with her like freaking out like that, because of obviously it's stressful enough just to be a handmaid and to be stuck in Gilead. And we've seen some small moments of vulnerability with Of Matthew where she's, she did mention that she's kind of sad that she has to have another kid and this keeps happening. And then to add on to that, a shame circle and being kind of persona non grata with the rest of the handmaids who are kind of supposed to be at least your equals.
Mm-hmm.
But then the fact that June is like using the force on her and directing her was just a bit much. Like that was a little bit too much for me. Did I lose you?
Yeah, you lost me for a second there. Sorry, but we're back. We're back. Yeah, so she does have her sort of Sith face on and directs her by mental power. I didn't mind the freak out, honestly. Like you said, you're already a handmaid. Like everything you're going through is already the worst, and you're trying to be the person who follows the rules and keeps your head down, and you still get put in a circle of shame for like a small thing, a thought you had that you desperately tried not to have, and you're cornered in this society, and now you're gonna have another baby and another one. It's your fourth one. Congrats. And so I didn't mind that at all, but I don't know how much of that is me being a little bit tired of us being stuck in the status quo and finally going, shit, yeah, finally something's happening, and how much it's actually sort of something that makes sense and is earned in the plot of the show. June's just standing there because she's a fucking badass, of course. She's seen this shit before. She's been around, seen people being run over, whatever. No big thing. Directs her eyes at Lydia, and yeah, the gun gets pointed that way. Lydia just seems like confused, like, what? A handmaid? Being violent? No, what is this baby doing? I don't understand. But yeah, she gets shot in the end. But and of course Aunt Lydia is like shocked because it's a pregnant handmaid. That's the like I if the backstory did nothing else, it reaffirmed in my mind that she would gladly take a bullet if that meant like one baby was born. So
yeah,
that's part of it, I guess. But yeah, I
God damn it, I was losing you there.
Oh yeah. Fucking internet, am I right? We're using Google Hangouts, everyone. Apparently, they're shutting it down.
Yeah, don't worry, it's gonna be gone soon. Well, yeah, it's just I didn't buy that June would be kind of the guide or the leader. Like, if I was June, I would think, oh, this lady's gonna kill me. Like, she would shoot me. Not that, oh, I can tell her who to shoot. So I was like on Lydia. I was confused and didn't quite get it. I even had to rewind it for a second to see her side smile to see what kind of gave her the signal to kind of pop off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. I also thought that June was. I guess it doesn't make sense with where she's at as a character, but I thought she would be happy with just being shot in this moment as well, which is why she's being so chill. But I don't think she would be really. She's just semi in shock as well. But then she cools down and yeah, I mean, she does have this voiceover, and sometimes it seems like she's psychic. So I don't know. That's probably some season 5 shit.
That's true. So then we have the infamous bottle episode. Because a lot of people, I've heard, because another, we mentioned Community, obviously, for dubbing the old bottle episode, but a famous one is the Fly episode of Breaking Bad, which people say is the worst episode of Breaking Bad, which boggles my fucking mind. Am I crazy for thinking that that's a really good episode?
No, wrong people think that. People who are wrong, Jim.
All right.
They think that. And I think what the creators of The Handmaid's Tale and the writers are doing here is we're going to do like a really like character study, great episode. It's all going to be self-contained. It's going to tell its own story. And I'm like, I just watched 9 hours of this, and what is the difference between the end of the episode and the beginning of the episode? Gilead's bad, you say? It's bad, and we have people in it who don't really want to be in it, like the doctor who gets to have some lines, and then there's a child, and the child is going to flower, and the society, and we're going to get the kids out. What did this episode accomplish, really? I mean, it wasn't the worst, but it's just the timing of it, of having it when I'm already like, fucking get a move on, and then it's like, no, there's no moves, there's no on, there's nothing.
Yeah. I think I probably would have enjoyed this more if I wasn't in the process of binging the show. Because I do kind of appreciate, even though, like you said, the truth behind it is probably like, hey, we spent a lot of money like making the Washington Monument look like a cross and building all these sets, and we need to trim it back a little bit for this episode. But I appreciate when they kind of go for something like this and try to make something interesting and have character moments. It didn't fully work for me either, but again, I kind of blame it more on myself in the binge. Because like we've seen June go through so much, and she's going through more, and she looks like hell, and her eyes are all red. But then it was almost like I was surprised. I was like, oh, she gets a bed though. She gets to sleep. What's the problem? Why is she freaking out?
Yeah, it does a lot of. I mean, it plays around with time. Obviously, it cuts on her blinking and whatever, and then like some time lapse stuff with the lighting, and there's people there, then there's different people, and that's all reinforced with the voiceover. It is well put together. I'll certainly say that, and like set wise, it's like the widest room ever, which it's evocative of like hospital settings, but it's also like the pure white, and like obviously the show does a lot with color. She stands out a lot in her red, and she's sort of she's just going insane is what they're showing, first of all, to the point that she goes up and almost kills the woman by sort of pulling on the old air tube there. And then there's more of her going insane, and just we get introduced to this doctor and some side characters and some children walking past who she thinks aren't real. I never thought they weren't real because it's a hospital. Why wouldn't they be there? But yeah, she's going crazy. She gets a scalpel, and no one thought of that, I guess, that there's a scalpel in there. They didn't worry about that bit. And,
and the fact that, there's this fucking crazy lady in here all the time. To maybe don't leave the scalpels, or even just the fact that I feel like, I know she goes to pull the tubes and it doesn't work, but like I feel like that would eventually work. And if someone's in there for 40 days or whatever, they're eventually going to go nuts.
And when they, when she does pull the tube a little bit, orderlies or doctors come in and sort of sort her out. but I'm like, they're coming pretty quickly. Is the door locked? I assume it's locked, but like, it feels like the way the show presents it, it may as well not be locked. Like,
Yeah.
she may as well, like, it's all glass around there. She could smash through the glass. Like, you got this crazy woman and who you're purposefully turning crazy, hanging out with a scalpel. It doesn't seem like a good situation for anyone involved. And endangering children, that's not great either. She could kill the baby, but then we know she wouldn't, but like, she'd kill. I mean, in her voiceover, she talks about it, wishing they both die. So fuck it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Plus, I mean, uh, they probably didn't think of Matthew would kill a guard and steal his gun in the grocery
Yeah.
store either. So you never know. But yeah, oh baby, do you know that heaven is a place on earth? You'll hear it with the beats and the noises, and then we get them to like cutting the leg and giving a tube and doing all these things because she is a vessel now for this child. We didn't call out that we did get to see a dead baby in episode 7. That's always fun.
Yeah.
When the dead baby was born, and we get to get a few shots of it. We get to see it with the umbilical cord around its throat. Then we get to see it again. This one we get to see like a little preemie baby, but not dead. She's still alive, so that's good. So we're one and one on the live babies and dead babies this season.
Yeah, Gilead's really doing great with this whole baby thing. We do get some symmetry. I mean, they obviously thought about this, but it's still fine. We have Janine talking June off the ledge as June did to her. That's pretty good.
I like Janine in this episode. And yeah, like, you're different. I don't like it. And even her getting her eye patch. I guess it does kind of come down to I was kind of goofing on the whole he took this epiphany of saving kids. I guess part of it also was the doctor, where he does ask her, how will you honor your daughters? And then I know she has a conversation with one of the other children, which is like a blur to me at this point. I don't remember what they said in that.
Well, it's like it's just an emphasis on the brainwashing that's going on, and the kids like, they say I will have children, not now, later. And then like, oh, do you want that? And she's like, yes, of course, or whatever. By the way, I just checked because Janine just wanders in. The door is literally open. So
yeah, I was actually gonna say I kind of remember the door just being open.
Yeah, so June could just leave. This would be a great opportunity to just leave, I guess. I guess the hospital's the most guarded place or whatever, but there's no guards in here. No, why would there be?
Didn't she originally escape from a hospital that in season 2?
She did. Yeah, what did everyone involved with that die? Can we not get someone involved here to get her out? No one would help her get out. They know she won't do it. Like, it's not worth it with June at this point. But yeah, get her a van, get her some muffins. We'll get to it. Yeah, so anyway, she gets a scalpel and slashes at Serena. And I do like the look of her face when she's deciding who to slash, and Serena comes in, like, and there's a crazy smile of like, I don't know why I had the scalpel. I knew I had to do something with it. Like, you can almost see that she starts to believe in destiny when Serena comes in there. Am I right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then Serena gives her the old, like, you were supposed to be one of the strong ones. And I'm just like, ugh. Get out of here, Serena. I hate Serena.
Yeah, no, she's the worst.
Yeah.
She doesn't tattle about the whole slashy, stabby thing, which I guess makes her really cool, and we're all going to be on board with her coconut trees. And later on, when Commander Waterford doesn't do what he's supposed to do, so we're all going to like Serena again later, I guess. Yeah. No, we're not, because she's Serena. So get that out of your head, showrunners. We're not going to like Serena. Yeah. Fuck you.
We're not gonna. And yeah, because you're right. In one of these episodes, she does mention that there's a man in Canada or something, right? To Fred.
Yeah, that's the next one, I think, because she. All right, I'm honestly not completely sure. Yeah, it's not in the hospital, so it's not in this episode, Jim. Yeah, that's the next one when she starts to realize that shit's going, like, it's not going anywhere. So she gives the phone to Commander Waterford, who's known for making great decisions, who cut off your finger. Let's give the phone your one way out to him.
Yeah.
And trust him to make the right choice. That'll pan out.
Ugh. Well, I mean, before we finish on this bottle episode, she does decide to go back and stay with her because she's not dead yet. And this like vindicates Aunt Lydia in a huge way because she's like, aha, oh, my teachings are so great.
Yeah.
There may be hope for what is she now? She's not off red, obviously.
Lucas, Lazarus, whatever it is.
Because
I
what's
mean,
Commander
Matthew,
Commander
Lawrence,
Lawrence?
off
Oh,
something.
she's off Joseph now. Is that what she is?
Like I was confused because they are it is off Joseph, yes, but they say that she's supposed to move to a different house, but at the end of the last episode, I think, but then she
Yeah,
doesn't, right?
yeah, yeah. Because then the freak out happens because that's why like June uses the Force because she's like, oh no, I can't leave the Commander Lawrence's house. I better use the Force now on of Matthew and make her shoot this place up and kind of put nip that idea in the bud because yeah, we do have that thing where it's weird because Lydia's saying like there was never issues with of Joseph before the Waterfords. But then she's like, but then this Lawrence household, because they had Emily and now they have these issues with of Joseph, so she needs a new place. And I felt like that did feel like this was going to be a big deal because she's at Commander Lawrence's place. It's like the best option for some sort of revolution. But yeah, she used the Force, and then we got a bottle episode, and now we're in episode 10. She's back home. They make mention that the Commander Lawrence has made some changes to the house because there's been some new laws from DC. I didn't really notice what was different. I guess
I think
what
you're
it's
saying
tidier.
Waterford, but you mean Lawrence, right? Commander Lawrence's house we're in, or am I
Oh
wrong?
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean Commander Lawrence's house.
Yeah, they're all dicks anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So she gets reinstalled by Lydia, and Lydia's sort of telling her to walk slow, take it easy. She's still recovering, and of course, June is like she's on this mission now. She said at the end of the last episode she's gonna get all the babies out, every single one of them. And yeah, the house has been made more old school, I guess, is supposed to be the thing, and more depressing, as is the Vogue, the new style. And yeah,
Yeah.
so
Go
sorry,
ahead.
you go.
Well, I was going to say she starts immediately snooping around looking for the files. There's word tell that Mrs. Lawrence is getting worse because she can't get her meds. They send her bread or some banana bread or something or other. But then she helps her because, as we've known, Miss Lawrence, she tried to help her too when she geeked out at the kids' school, and now she helps her find the files where she can find out where all the handmaid's children are. But Fred, he's upset with Commander Lawrence. He's like, what, jealous or something? Doesn't June make a comment to him, and it kind of sets some things in? Oh, they ask like how things are, and she says, oh, they treats me with respect. And then Fred makes the face like, oh, I won't have. We will be respected, goddammit.
I think she says like, at least it's not you, something
Well,
like that, because he comes in all smooth and okay, yeah, but he comes in all smooth and buttery, like I can maybe arrange for a transfer to DC, and it's like, why do you want to keep hanging out with June? Everything bad that's ever happened to you has been connected to June. Like, what is this weird obsession that's like he really has no distinct personality to me, Commander Waterford. Like he doesn't. He just reacts to sensory input as far as I can see. Like it doesn't, or am I crazy? Like he doesn't seem to have any actual driving force. I know he's supposed to be a weirdo, and I guess they do that a fairly good job of that. But it's almost like, oh, June's here now. I'm gonna flirt with her because like that's gonna be great. I'm not at all obsessed with getting my wife back on board and all this stuff. I'm just gonna like have some weird talks with her because that'll work out great. She has so much respect for me.
No, you're absolutely right. Commander Fred, he's very convenient to whatever they want to be the thing happening. And yeah, he just sees June. He's like, oh, you could come to DC. You could be my handmaid. And it's like, wait, weren't you trying to win Serena back and then trying to get the baby and also trying to move up in the world? Even though the fact that you're getting more power after June escaped last year and Nick kept you in your house, like holy shit, the fucking hoops that we jump through to make it so these people are still in power and that June's still a handmaid.
Yeah, So we have the Uber commander coming down from DC. That's like the big thing. All the handmaids are brought out. That's where Fred bumps into June and everything. And so they are sort of chatting about it. And like you said, I guess he's jealous or just Lawrence has power in the district or whatever they call it. It may as well be the Hunger Games. In the district, he has power, so so Waterford doesn't like that. And so he's sort of trying to put Lawrence in a bad position by implementing this old like observing of the ceremony thing to sort of just be a dick.
But yeah, because I didn't even read it as much as power, even though that's kind of part of it. It was more just that he's like jealous that he's with June and that he also wants to kind of get them both back in a way. Like it felt more personal vendetta, but you're probably right. But then also like in the first season and then kind of most of season 2, we were led to believe that like Fred was in power of this district kind of, but now they're like, well, no, Commander Lawrence built this society, but he's also completely surprised with how this society like lives and acts.
Yeah.
We need a fucking flashback of this guy because it's another one who's very convenient to the plot. Like he's either the most powerful and he built Gilead from the ground up, or he's completely clueless to how things work and doesn't even completely understand. And maybe that's supposed to be part of the point because in his own world, he gets to do what he wants. But he's not, he's like blind to the realities of the outside world. I don't know.
Well, I think it is, I guess, saying something about how the elites never follow the rules that they impose on other people, which is a fair enough point. I mean, we have the super commander who has like 18 children. He doesn't seem to follow like the regulations as such, or he's at least hoarding kids, which seems very sort of against their I don't know, everything. But I guess it isn't. And then we have him, Lawrence, making all these rules, but he's not gonna follow. Like, it's not for him. He's just trying to make society work over here. Society's one thing, and my life and what I do is totally separate. And I can sort of buy him as an academic whose like work has been implemented. So he's not like on the top of the scale, but people have respect for him anyway. But yeah, he's very much taken aback by how things have turned out, I guess.
Yeah, my only problem with that is that June does specifically say in her voiceover that bearing witness to the ceremony is a thing that they've done. They did in the past when families would try to resist the new way of life.
Yeah.
So just the fact that he would like that it never happened before just felt a bit much. Although I guess we've kind of one of our big questions we've had discussing season 1, 2, and through now is the time frame. And now like this episode gives us the time frame that it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Because when she's looking at the kids and like that's why people that had babies kind of before the big changeover now have like 5 or 6 year old kids. So at least that kind of helps us a little bit, but it also is like completely doesn't make fully sense, but whatever.
How old does it say Hannah is? Do we know?
I think they do show because we see Hannah and it shows like her birthday, and I think it says something where she was like 7 or 8 when they took her, and now she's like 12 or 13 or something. Right.
So anyway, the ceremony happens. Everyone's really upset about it, and that's it.
Well, because again, it was just one of those things where like June has to. Although I guess Commander Lawrence does know as well, because the wife says something like, "They'll just kill us" or something. But then he's the one that's like, "Well, handmaids would be punished because they're required to report deviancy from the rules." Although I did kind of like this. It was a weird twist on the whole handmaid rape ceremony that happens, where it's like they're all stuck in this room and they kind of have to do something for the good of not just for selfish reasons for them, but they even mentioned that basically the whole house, the Marthas, everyone would be kind of on the wall or taken down, and they have to do this terrible thing I guess the greater good.
And as an additional twist, Lawrence hands her some, I guess, morning after pills, saying it's a collector's item. And as she points out, this is gonna happen again, right? Like it's
Yeah.
the whole thing you made happen there with society. And I think the episode up to then has all been about she wants help getting a van to get the kids out or whatever. And he's like, no, of course not. Because he's still doing his flip-floppy thing of like, I'm a good guy, I'm a bad guy. And so that's what this episode is about, confronting him with the fact that he's also stuck in this society. And I think he is sort of even halfway open to like, yeah, I'll maybe I would fuck off out of here, but like I made this society, remember? Like they're gonna like I'm a war criminal. I'd be fucked. Or maybe she says that, the wife.
Yeah,
But
the
anyway,
is that.
yeah. Yeah, so I think she says you just have to give him something to get out, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. And what's more valuable than children, right? So I guess is this where he says like you'll get your van or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, I'll get you a truck, get my wife out,
Yeah.
and then we get back to the grocery store where June kind of comes back and tells I forget the other handmaids besides Janine who's involved in this scene as well, where she's like, I have a truck, and then Janine's like, I can help. Although, and like I do like this moment where she's like, what? I'm brave. But also, like, you can't. I would never trust her. Like,
Yeah, no, but they do talk about it in front of her, so they're already
Yeah.
being stupid about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other handmaid doesn't want to help either. She says earlier, like, you're like poison. Everything, like
Yeah.
everything you touch turns to shit, June, and somehow you're still alive, which is a very good point. But then June busts out, like, I know where your daughter or son is or whatever, and I can get them out. And then like that's the news that gets spread around. That's where we
Oh.
get all the muffins, because muffins mean yes, right?
But also, we do find out that Janine's kid died in a car accident, and as a very smart move, she does not tell Janine that. And it's the old. I don't know if anyone's watched Sopranos, but when Tony tells his sister about a certain character, and he's like, "Oh, he's up on a hill, with a nice tree and leaves coming down. Oh, your son went to California with a family, and he's happy and everything's great." And it's like, I've talked about how the cast is great. I mean, the actress that plays Janine's great as well, and it is kind of like a heartbreaking, but also I'm very happy for her being happy for this fake story that she's getting told, because if she finds out the truth, she'll probably geek out and rat everyone out and ruin everything, which I assume could possibly happen. But yes, muffins mean yes, and we're gonna need a bigger boat because June's gonna hit you with those fucking pop culture references. That's for sure.
Every episode she'll get one in, just like you and me here on the Gilead Gazette. As we also mentioned, Serena gives Fred the walkie-talkie walkie-talkie-esque phone, satellite phone maybe, to this guy in the United States in exile. Bad move. Like, that's obviously dumb, right? Am I wrong?
I forgot that even happened, but yeah, you're right. She did give, and I don't think I even was paying attention in the moment to that's what happened. But you're right. Why the fuck would she do that? That's like telling Janine that her kid's dead.
Yeah. Why the fuck would she do most of the things she does? It's all like, I'd be fine with it if I believed in the Handmaid's Tale's commitment to some of these character moments, if I didn't think we were going to get jerked around again, and then we're going to have fucking Serena and June teaming up together again to go to Hawaii and have coconuts. Like, just stick to your guns, Handmaid's Tale. I think you're totally right. We didn't need 13 episodes. 10 episodes probably would have been great. But then if you can make a bottle episode, it doesn't cost that much. So fuck it, right?
Yeah, it's 13 episodes for the price of 12.
Yes. Yeah, so I obviously have been sounding a bit more negative these past couple episodes. I think it is because the middle of this season, and a lot of shows, but particularly now, it feels like we're treading water. I think that's what every critic of this show has said, that it's just spinning its wheels, not getting to the point of what we've been promised. And in a way, I guess we have 3 episodes left. So that's going to be the last episode of The Handmaid's Tale, of our coverage here on the Gilead Gazette for this time. So please do send us your thoughts and a review on iTunes. We'd very much appreciate that. You could also email us at showswhatyouknowshow. Sorry, Apple Podcasts is what it's called now, right? We don't have iTunes anymore.
Apple Podcast.
You can go on Google Podcasts as well, if you're one of those. I don't know if they have reviews. Who knows? It's all new. It's a new, wonderful world we're exploring here on the Gilead Gazette. You can also email us at showswhatyouknowshow@gmail.com is what I was going to say.
Yes, but there's one more important thing.
What's that, Jim?
Stop the presses!